So today I'm going to talk some basics, right? So if you're here and you're watching this, most likely you are attracted to witchcraft or the occult in some way. And so I wanted to just jump in on my feed and say a little bit about that. I find that no matter what you follow, there's always going to be a this and a that, and so polarities. And so I find that if you're attracted to something, then there's something in you that's really calling you towards it. And so you should really follow that and learn more. It's when we go in deeper, when we go into the depth, that things start to really change and that we start to find our place, ourselves, our voices. So, what I love about the occult, you know, there's a place for women in it that is about not finding, but rediscovering or remembering our power. The history of the occult is really based in these, it's practice and it's ritual, and within ritual there were so many female goddesses and deities and women that were really in power, and it was women who were respected for the magic that they brought, whether that be through healing or be through divination or just in existence, really. So I think it's really important to remember that part of the reason that people are so attracted to it is because it's fun, obviously, and the aesthetic is really amazing. But there's also a sense of self and power and empowerment and remembering. And so as you start to dive into the occult and you start to really go into the history of it, you can discover many of these women, and they were all written about. Well, they weren't all written about, but many of them were written about, many of them were worshipped. And through studying the women who practiced in different ways, we can find bits and pieces about what we're attracted to. And through, it's always through finding that path and going into what you're attracted to and what's calling you, that you're going to find more about yourself and your own power. So, like anything else, when you go into the depth of the occult, there are so many pathways, so many, and you can't make it into a black and a white thing, because every pathway carries with it a, a bunch of history, but also different ways that you can practice. And so you really need to find the parts that you are attracted to feel into what you're aligned to really discover your inner depth and your inner power. And so I find that, in my work, I use a lot of healing, and I use a lot of history, and I use a lot of art. Those are the things that I'm attracted to. And so through doing those, I understand, divination, and I understand plant medicine, and I understand all these other things that you can incorporate. I don't necessarily do all of the things. I don't think that anybody who's practicing at all does all of the things, but I think it's really important to have an understanding of that. I also think that it's really important to have an understanding of your own lineage. So if you come from a family and you're like, well, nobody in my family studies any of this stuff, and I'm sort of the black sheep of the family, there's probably something within your lineage, if you go further back, that there was something, because there was, years and years and years and years ago, this wasn't something that was unusual. It was very commonplace that rituals or spell work or healing work or working with plants was just part of our human everyday culture. So I think finding your lineage is always helpful to figure out what is going to be best for you to practice. You can definitely go on to any of these social media sites, and mine, although I don't have a lot on there, but you can go and you can find what is working for other people or the how to, and some of it will work for you and some of it won't, because some of it won't be aligned to where you are. So it doesn't mean that you're not able to practice. It doesn't mean that you don't have abilities or powers or whatever you want to call them. It just means that you haven't found the right one for you yet. So it is through the practice, it's through understanding, and it's through self cultivation and self discovery that you're going to find your way. And through doing that, you're going to be extremely empowered, and you're going to dive into, divine feminine power, and starting to really go into the goddesses and the women who, throughout history, weren't necessarily put on a platform to be given a voice, but they still exist. And so through doing this work, you'll also find those. And through them, you'll find your own voice. And that's my hope.